As the film begins, a grand palace slowly comes into view, towering against the darkness like a silent witness to something evil. Inside, a wounded man stumbles through the endless corridors, desperately trying to hide. An arrow is lodged deep in his body, and every step he takes leaves behind fear and blood. The palace is suffocating in the darkness. Old posters bearing the name Le Bail are pasted across the walls, watching over everything like a curse that never fades. Somewhere inside, two young siblings are hiding. The younger boy is named Alex. His older brother quickly shoves him into a cupboard, whispering for him to stay quiet. Moments later, the wounded man bursts into the room. He begs Alex's brother for help. His voice trembles. He is dying. But instead of helping him, the boy screams for his family. Within seconds, the residents of the palace arrive, dressed in ceremonial masks that make them look less human and more monstrous. They drag the helpless man away, ignoring the desperate cries of a woman who begs them to spare his life. And then, they brutally kill him. 30 years pass. Now, we meet Grace, a young woman preparing to marry Alex, the same little boy from that horrifying night, now grown into a man. Grace is the heart of this story. Unlike Alex's aristocratic family, Grace grew up in an orphanage. She has never known what it feels like to belong. But she loves Alex deeply, and Alex loves her. After that traumatic night 30 years ago, Alex left his family and chose to live separately. He never truly fits in with them again. Before the wedding, Alex's brother pulls Grace aside and warns her. "This is your last chance," he says. "Don't marry this family. Stay away from us." Grace doesn't understand what he means. She is confused. Even Alex hesitates and tells her, "My family, they're strange, mysterious." But Grace smiles and replies, "I love you. That's all that matters. I want to build a life with you." Alex's father never approved Grace. To him, she is just an orphan chasing status. Yet the family agrees with the marriage, mainly because Alex has finally returned home after years away. Most of them assume Grace is marrying for wealth and prestige. They see her as an outsider trying to climb into high society. But Grace has no idea how dark and twisted this family truly is. The wedding takes place. Later that night, as Grace and Alex settle into their room, Alex's aunt secretly watches them through a hidden door. Grace notices her and jumps in fear. The aunt calmly says, "Everyone is waiting for you." Then she disappears. Alex turns to Grace and explains the family tradition. "At midnight," he says, "every new member of the family must play a game. You'll draw a card. Whatever game is written on it, we play." He explains that their ancestors once made a fortune by playing games, and since then, it has become a sacred tradition. Grace feels uneasy. Something about this feels wrong. She nervously asks, "Do I have to win?" Alex shakes his head. "No, you just have to participate." When Alex goes downstairs, his father immediately asks, "What did you tell her?" Alex responds firmly, "I didn't tell her the secret, and I won't. If I must, I'll leave with her." Soon, Grace joins the family downstairs. Alex's mother approaches her and speaks kindly. For the first time in her life, Grace feels warmth. She has grown up alone. She has never had a real family. And in this moment, she believes she finally has one. But she doesn't realize this family comes with a deadly price. Meanwhile, Alex's sister arrives at the mansion with her husband and children, completing the gathering of the entire family. They escort Grace into a private room, a room strictly reserved for family members. No outsider has ever been allowed inside. The moment Grace steps in, she feels it. The room is filled with weapons, rifles, crossbows, axes, blades of every kind. It looks less like a tradition and more like preparation for war. A chill runs down her spine. Her eyes land on a portrait of an old man hanging on the wall. Alex's father steps forward and says, "That's my father." He begins to explain. Years ago, this tradition was started by his father, a man obsessed with card games. He even owned a card shop. One day, he met a mysterious man named LaBelle. They played cards for hours, and when Alex's grandfather won the game, LaBelle gifted him a strange wooden box, a secret box. LaBelle made a promise. As long as your family follows the rules, you will always be wealthy, always successful. But there was one condition. Every new member who marries into the family must draw a card from the box at midnight and play whatever game it reveals. They claim that LaBelle himself decides the game. One by one, the family members describe the harmless games they were assigned on their wedding nights. Chess, checkers, old childhood games. Grace listens, nervous, but trying to smile. Finally, it's her turn. She places her hand on the mysterious box and pulls out a card. She reads it. "Hide and seek." The room falls silent. The smiles vanish. The family members stare at each other in stunned disbelief. Grace laughs awkwardly. "Wait, are we seriously playing hide and seek?" Alex's father forces a thin smile. "Yes, you hide. We search." Something feels wrong, but Grace still doesn't understand the true meaning of this game. She has no idea. This is not a normal game. Suddenly, the mansion transforms. All doors are locked. Security cameras are switched off. The rules of LaBelle must be followed exactly. Soft music begins to play through the halls, and one by one, the family members arm themselves. Shotguns, crossbows, knives, axes. This isn't hide and seek. This is a hunt. The game begins. Alex refuses to participate and sits alone in another room, clearly disturbed. His sister-in-law keeps a close watch on him, making sure he doesn't help Grace. Grace hides inside an elevator shaft, trying to steady her breathing. The family spreads out across the mansion, searching for her like predators stalking prey. When Alex's sister-in-law leaves briefly to confront him, she discovers something alarming. Alex is gone. He has slipped away through a hidden passage. Meanwhile, Grace grows restless in her hiding spot. The silence is unbearable. She steps out. Suddenly, Alex appears from behind and quickly pulls her into another hidden room. They hide together, whispering urgently, but their movement wakes the family's caretaker, the woman watching over the children. She hears footsteps and assumes one of the kids has gotten out of bed. She walks toward the noise and enters the very room where Alex and Grace are hiding. Before she can react, a gunshot explodes. Alex's sister fires without hesitation. The bullet strikes the caretaker directly in the eye. Her body collapses instantly. Grace freezes in horror. The family members rush into the room, panicked, not because someone died, but because they shot the wrong person. They begin arguing about how to dispose of the body quickly. That's when Grace understands. This is not a strange tradition. This is a ritual, and she was never meant to survive it. What they don't realize, Grace has seen everything, and now she knows the truth about the family she just married into. Alex's brother turns to his aunt and asks nervously, "Will this blood be accepted?" She answers coldly, "No, it must be the bride's blood. If Grace is still alive by dawn, LaBelle will kill all of us." Grace hears every word, and in that moment the truth crashes down on her. This family is not playing a game, they are hunting her. Alex rushes to her and whispers urgently, "We have to escape, right now." He explains the real meaning of her card. Hide and seek doesn't mean we play for fun. You hide, and they hunt you. If they don't kill you before sunrise, they believe LaBelle will kill them instead. Grace's heart pounds. Alex quickly makes a plan. "I'll unlock the kitchen doors. You run through there and don't look back." Grace moves carefully through the mansion toward the kitchen, But suddenly, the family spots her, and they charge. Grace thinks fast and slips into the study room, locking herself inside. Alex's brother enters. Grace begs him for help. For a brief moment, he hesitates. "I don't want to kill you," he admits. "You're my brother's wife, and he loves you." Then he whispers, "You have 10 seconds. Run." According to the rules, whoever finds Grace must alert the others. 10 seconds pass. Grace runs. And as soon as she disappears, Alex's brother shouts to the rest of the family, revealing her location. The family turns on him angrily. "Why didn't you kill her?" Furious, Alex's father decides to use the security cameras to track Grace. But when they check the monitors, they discover something else. Alex is in the security room. He has unlocked all the doors. Before he can react, his father and brother smash the door open, knock him unconscious, and handcuff him. Meanwhile, Grace nearly escapes through the estate grounds. But Alex's uncle confronts her. He attacks. A violent struggle erupts. Grace fights back desperately and manages to injure him before running away again. Bleeding and exhausted, she hides inside the elevator once more. But inside, the frightened housemaid is already there. The woman begins screaming, alerting everyone that Grace is hiding. In the chaos, her neck becomes trapped in the elevator mechanism, and she dies in a horrifying accident. As the hunt continues, a shocking truth is revealed. Alex's aunt, the same woman who begged for mercy 30 years ago, was once in Grace's position. The wounded man from the beginning was her husband. He was chosen, and he was sacrificed. She explains that Labail demands a sacrifice from whoever is chosen to lead the family. First, it was her. Now it is Alex, and he must offer his wife. Grace runs toward the stables, hoping to escape. Inside, she sees Alex's young nephew. She assumes he is hiding in fear. She tries to calm him, but the child raises a gun and shoots her. The bullet tears through her hand. Screaming in pain and fury, Grace punches the boy and he collapses. In the struggle, she falls through a hidden trapdoor into the cellar below. When she looks around, her blood runs cold. The cellar is filled with rotting corpses, the remains of previous brides and grooms, proof that this ritual has claimed many lives before her. Grace climbs out with immense effort, but as she pulls herself up, a sharp nail pierces her wounded hand. She is bleeding heavily now, weak, but still alive. She runs toward the main gate and desperately begs a passing car driver for help, but the driver refuses, and Grace realizes she is completely alone. Grace runs into the dark forest, branches cutting against her skin as she hides behind a tree, struggling to breathe. Alex's uncle is chasing her. He moves closer, but this time, Grace doesn't freeze. As he approaches, she grabs a wire and wraps it around his neck, strangling him with every ounce of strength she has left. She breaks free, steals the car, and drives away in desperation. Her hands tremble as she calls emergency services, begging the operator to connect her to the police. But the operator coldly disconnects the call. The car is reported stolen. Grace is trapped. Moments later, Alex's uncle regains consciousness, attacks her, and knocks her out. When she wakes, she is in the back seat. He video calls Alex's father and proudly announces, "I've captured Grace, prepare for the sacrifice." But Grace suddenly regains consciousness. She lunges forward. The car swerves out of control and crashes violently into a tree. The uncle dies instantly. Grace survives. As she stumbles out of the wreckage, Alex's brother arrives. She begs him for help, but this time, he shows no mercy. He knocks her unconscious and carries her back to the mansion under his father's watchful eyes. Back inside, the family prepares for the ritual. Grace is tied to a ceremonial table. They chant ancient words and drink from golden cups. Suddenly, they begin vomiting blood. Alex's brother had secretly poisoned their drink. Seizing the moment, he unties Grace and urges her to run. But his wife appears and shoots him without hesitation. He dies instantly. Something changes inside Grace. Rage replaces fear. She attacks the woman and escapes again. Meanwhile, Alex regains consciousness, frees himself from the handcuffs, and rushes outside. He finds his brother dead. His grief quickly turns into something darker. When Alex's father confronts Grace, he tries to kill her. Grace smashes a lamp into him, setting parts of the mansion on fire. Flames begin to spread. As she moves forward, Alex's mother blocks her path. "You never belonged in this family," she says coldly. This time, Grace fights back without hesitation. During the struggle, she grabs the mysterious LaBelle box and smashes it into her mother-in-law's face, killing her. "You and your family never suited me," Grace says. "Go to hell." Alex witnesses his mother's death, and in that moment, whatever love he had for Grace disappears. He grabs her and drags her back to the ritual room. The surviving family members surround her. Now Alex himself prepares to kill her. He raises the knife. At the last second, Grace twists away. The blade pierces her shoulder instead of her heart. Bleeding and exhausted, she refuses to fall. Then, the first rays of sunlight enter the room. Morning has arrived. The family freezes. They expect to die instantly, but nothing happens. Relief spreads across their faces. They begin laughing. "We're safe," they say. "Now we can kill her whenever we want." But suddenly, Alex's aunt steps forward with a hammer. Before she can strike, her body explodes violently. Blood covers the walls. Silence. Then another explosion. And another. LaBelle was real. One by one, the family members burst apart in horrifying explosions. Alex's sister tries to run with her children. She explodes. Her husband lifts the LaBelle box and shouts, "I followed the rules!" He explodes too. Within moments, everyone is gone. Everyone except Grace and Alex. Grace is barely standing. The nightmare is over. Alex explodes. The curse is complete. The Alex explodes. The curse is complete. The mansion burns around her. Through the flames, a shadow appears. LaBelle watches from the firelight. Grace has survived. She has won. As the last of the mansion collapses, Grace walks out alone, widowed, wounded, but alive. And now, the sole owner of everything. Grace sits there smoking calmly, watching it all burn. And the movie comes to an end.